What's up, guys? We are back with another recap, um, discussion, whatever you want to call it. I'm Brandon Hauff. That's Michael Massie. Mike, last night, again, didn't go as planned. Want to just explain to the viewers what happened, what you felt, what you think was the turning point, I guess,
Yeah.
as to missing the race, unfortunately, again.
Yes, I'm 0 for 2 on the season. I might get points for this one. I guess the guys that were in the so there are two heats, and the top 12 from each heat made
Yep.
the feature, and then there was the LCQ, and the top 6 from that made the feature. And I was like 10th in the LCQ because I missed it by 4 spots. But I was in a pretty good position. So first off, it was Mazda MX6 or MX5. I
MX5,
get my
yeah.
Maxes mixed up, at Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip, and it was a difficult combination. There was a ton of wrecks in all the races, heats, LCQ main event that can attest to how difficult that combination was. And so I was at Darlington all weekend covering the race. You can check out all that coverage on this YouTube page or at frontstretch.com. A little shameless plug.
Nice plug.
But
Yep. There you go.
but yeah, so I didn't have any time to practice and really didn't get home, didn't get to sit down at my rig and try out this combo until about 7:30 last night,
Ugh.
Monday night. And the race started at 8. So didn't really I don't know, I just couldn't get a handle on with these cars. You downshift. You're in third gear. In the corners, you downshift a second, or else you're just so bogged down that you're just slow coming off the corner. And it was something about like the car was tight going in, and then when I downshift, it just kick around, and then all of a sudden it's too loose. And yeah, I don't know how the other drivers felt, but I also felt like the curbing there at Martinsville, I felt like it kept moving around on me. It seemed like it was a different spot every time I entered the corner. So I hit that a couple times in the heat and the feature, and it really upsets the car, or not the feat, the LCQ really upsets the car. But I'd gotten to where in the LCQ, I had missed a couple wrecks. I was in a pretty good spot. I just needed like one or two, get around like one or two guys, and I think I would have made it. And then I did one of the worst things you could do. So I'll back up a little. In a couple corners before this happened, I went to downshift and I was using the paddles because I don't know how anyone could at Martinsville reach over and shift. If
The
you
H
can do
pattern.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can do that at Martinsville, you are way better. You're way out of my league. Um, but so I'm using the paddles, and it didn't for some reason like didn't shift down to second. I just had a real slow corner exit. So like a couple of corners later, I thought it had the same feeling where it didn't downshift again. So I hit it again. That thing went to first gear, spun on out, lost all my track position, went to the tail of the field. Ended up getting around some guys that wrecked late, but finished 10th. It was too little too late. Missed the race. That was extremely disappointing. But yeah, so here we are, 0 for 2. I think I will be in the race this coming week, though. I don't think there will be any heats or LCQs or any of that nature because it's the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I remember last time you guys were in there. I think the race was fairly clean, but those things around that track just completely bogged down. And I mean, you got to like throw those things around and drift them and whatever else just because of they're made for off-road, but it is what it is. But yeah, you'll get it next week. I was watching last night. And if just a little recap of the main event. The winner was Presley Sora. He came up through the Road to Glory series, and if you guys watch the videos from last season, I'm sure Mike talked about it. And it was mentioned at some point. The Road to Glory series is pretty much, if you want it in like NASCAR terms, it's like the Xfinity series to Monday Night Racing. It's like the, you had to race your way in to get into the big league. So there were 4 guys, I believe, that got in from that league. Presley was one of them. He won the championship last season. And, he's a good driver. I've raced around him personally on iRacing. He's really, really good. He got the victory. I believe he started outside pole.
He's
Led
really
the
young
majority.
too.
He what?
He's really young too. I think he
Yeah.
might be like a senior in high school.
I think he's like 16 or 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these guys are, a lot of these, young sim racers, they start at like 13, 14 years old, right when you can get into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know. Listen,
Compared to
man.
me starting late 20s.
Listen, man. I'm gonna be 27 in 2 months. And I see these guys starting at 13 and 14, and I'm just like, I was racing NASCAR 09 at that point, back in like 2000 and what, 9 or something, or 10. And here these guys, they're winning all these big sim races at 15 years old, 16 years old. And I'm just like, geez, I'm like, that's when I was starting. But yeah,
Yeah, I was
Presley's a
racing
good driver.
total team control back then.
Yeah,
The
right.
EA Sports games. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a little recap of last night. I mean, as expected for Martinsville, there's a lot of cautions, a lot of wrecks. But up front it was kind of clean, nobody really had a problem with each other. Not a lot of passing just because of the way the cars work at Martinsville. Mazda's kind of bogged down. But you know, um we'll see what happens next week, I'm expecting, a clean race, hopefully,
Well,
versus the first 2, but
last year, or it was either last season or 2 seasons ago, we did this combo, maybe 2 seasons ago.
I think it was, yeah.
And Shane Van Gisbergen wiped the floor with all of us. I mean, it's what he does, right? He's driving those V8 supercars in Australia. But we'll see whether or not he can get it done this time, because he's kind of made some enemies in the league since that time. Except for Colin Fern, who loves him and is a huge fan.
Oh man, he is a huge fan of him, especially last night too. I don't know if you saw that, but he's a huge fan, especially after last night. And we know last season we mentioned that, but yeah.
So now two of the past 3 MNR races, Shane has wrecked Colin Fern.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. If you ever tune into a race, anybody, if you ever tune into a race, if you ever want to see some entertainment, if Colin and Shane are racing around each other, just watch them for a few laps, and you'll probably either see a wreck, or B, you'll see somebody bump somebody out of the way, or C, you'll just see some good racing. They're both good drivers. It's just, people make mistakes, but
yeah, for sure.
No.
I don't think it's over by any means.
No, no. Well, I think maybe not next week, because Pro 2s, I mean, you can kind of flip somebody over, I guess. Yeah. With the way those cars roll over, but I don't know. Maybe the week after, maybe it's not over. We know for a fact something's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure. Might be some guys looking to get back at James Bickford and Charlie Brown as well. After those guys dive bomb their way into the feature last night, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But you want to know a little bit about my history, Mike?
Yeah. I talk all about myself, but the people need to know about the co-host here, Mr. Brandon.
All right.
Tell me a little about your iRacing background.
All right. So I started on iRacing back in 2011, which seems like forever ago now, but I was 16. I came from, as I mentioned before, I came from the consoles in NASCAR 09. And I, a couple of my friends were getting iRacing, and they're like, hey, this is a sim, and it was on, Marcus Ambrose's car, it was on Todd Bodine's truck. I never heard of it before. So I'm like, yeah, why not sign up? Now, you needed a good computer. I had a computer, now it's 2011. I had a computer from 2005 at this point, with like a box monitor, which was probably about, I don't know, 13 and 14 inches or something like that. It was crazy small. It was terrible. I had to run on minimum graphics. So I got into it and, I started running all these races and I'm like, gee, this is actually really cool. And 2 years later, I made the pro series. I don't know how. I still don't know to this day how, but it was a different way of making it back then. It was a little bit more difficult, I would say. But yeah, I made it. I was in the Coke series, or as it was called back then, the Peak Antifreeze series in 2014. I had a whole sponsorship from a company that actually doesn't exist anymore, but
What was it?
it was Viper Technologies.
Okay.
I have a free the chair I'm sitting in right now. I actually got from them. They offered me either a monetary a salary for the season, which wasn't much. It was like nothing compared to what the guys get now.
Yeah.
Or they said we'll give you a free sim rig. So 18-year-old me, not really having any responsibilities at that point, I'm like, I'll go with the rig. Because I was sitting on a wooden chair. I had like a desk that I was putting the monitor on. I'm like, you know what? I'll take the rig. Looking back, I'd probably take the money, but it is what it is. Didn't have the greatest season that year. I finished 28th in points. I think I was like second lowest of anybody that ran every race. But no, man, it was a fun time. I was in pro until 2016. So I was in there for a whole 3 years. And then, I kind of, once I didn't make it back in 2016 to peak Coke, whatever you want to call it, I kind of just got out of it. I was out of it for a good 2 years. I had other responsibilities I was dealing with. I graduated college, had other, things I was dealing with, and other things I put priority over sim racing. Got back into it in 2018. And really ever since then, I've been on it, not a terrible amount. I still have other responsibilities, work and, you know, covering, even though I'm on iRacing to cover Monday Night Racing and I've been covering Coke. It doesn't give me all the time in the world to race, which is fine with me. But I still enjoy it. When I race, I still race, it seems like a lot, but I'd say I probably do maybe 150 races per year, which if you know about iRacing, if any of the viewers do, that's like not a terrible amount. There are people that do upwards of like 2,000 or like 1,000. And
Yeah.
I was one of them when I started back in 2012. I will never forget. I did 921 races my first
Oh
year.
my.
I was a kid in high school. I would come home and I'd race at 3 o'clock until about 9 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, all right, I'm done for the night. But now these days I do maybe one race every, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, if that.
I think I would give myself a heart attack if I had 900 races in a year.
I listen, and it was a lower series too. It was those legend cars, those street stocks.
Oh, I'd be angry all the time.
Exactly. No, but like back then it was a little bit better. Like, you had the rookies, you still had the guys that didn't know what they were doing at all. I mean, heck, I didn't know what I was doing for a while. But no, iRacing has been it's been a main hobby of mine, I guess, if you want to call it. Just for the past few years. It was for, the first 6 years that I had it, or 5 years. And especially, when I was in high school and started college, I put a priority just because I didn't really have too many things going on. And, that's how I got into Coke, how I made it through peak, how I kept, making the pro series and making my way back. It was a fun time, these days I'd like to make it back. They have the Road to Pro series they do now. Actually, the second to last race of the first round is in 2 days. I don't stream or anything, but if you watch, there is a broadcast. I will tweet it out. Probably I might tweet it out. I don't know. I will be in the race. I have an outside shot of making the second round if I have 2 stout races. So I need to finish in like the top 5 or 10 in my final 2 races, and I might make the second round, which would be top 70 in points. That would be the stepping stone to getting back to pro. It's complicated now, but no, it's
Got
fun.
this.
What was that?
You got this.
Yeah, man. I listen. I straight up. You have to, put in the time to these setups. I straight up used my setup from last year on a different tire model at Dover 2 weeks ago. I wound up 17th somehow. I don't know how, but it takes time, but I've been learning a lot too with setups and everything, but that's for another day. But that's a little bit about me, my racing career and hobby. I still enjoy it. I've been on the service now 11 years. I won't stop anytime soon, probably. So I made a lot of friends through iRacing too. I met some great people. I've come to learn a lot about the community. Heck, I'm covering Monday Night Racing and covered Coke for Frontstretch because of it. So it's been a good part of my life, so I wouldn't trade it.
For sure. So you're kind of like when you hear about Richard Petty and he's like, he won this race back in 1966 and they paid him $1,000 for it or something. And then he gets out the sport and then the money blows up, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Oh man. I tell you, it's weird. Like I look back, like, 10 years ago or 9 years ago when I was starting to make, the Peak or Coke series. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, I actually did that. Like I actually could. And if I did it these days, I can get paid what those guys get paid now. I'm like,
yeah.
oh man. I'm like, I picked the wrong time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I personally think, now I personally think I could do it. It's just a matter of putting everything together. But, we'll see what happens this coming week and, in 2 weeks. But, yeah, I'd like to race in Monday Night Racing, but I won't go into that. We'll just say I appreciate Ford and what he does for the league and everything. It's a good league.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah. Next week, like I said, you got Pro 2s at Watkins Glen. Do you have a driver in mind you think will be? You already said Shane. You said Shane will probably be good. Do you have anybody else in mind you think will be tough to beat?
Well, so I think about Will Rogers, because I always think of him as like a road course guy, right? I think he'll be tough to beat. DJ Cummings is usually really fast at road courses, so it would surprise me if he went up there and won it. Those would probably be the main two. I feel like there's like a huge favorite. I feel like staring me in the face that I just can't think of right now.
There's probably a road guy. I don't know who, but there's probably a road guy in the series we don't know about or we're not thinking of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you'll probably have Raj up there. Raja will be up there.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how he is at road courses, but I know, he's on the sim all the time. He's probably going to be practicing like crazy. I can't think off
Brad Perez.
Yeah, Brad will be good. Brad's really good. Yep.
Yeah.
I think Preston Pardis, P Money.
Yeah.
Out for him. Road courses are his specialty, and even though it's Pro 2s, he is very good on the road courses. So I would keep an eye out for him. I would probably, I don't know if I call him the favorite, but I would say for sure he's going to be top 3. I would say. I think if you're going to go top 3, I'd probably go Shane. I might put Brad in there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'd say Preston. That'd be my top 3, I think.
I won't dispute that. That's solid top 3.
Mike, we're gonna get you a top 15 next week. How about that?
Not on a road course. We're gonna need a whole lot of wrecks for that to happen on a road course.
Man, you never know. It could happen. I mean, listen, if you made the feature yesterday, I think you were in for at least a top 20.
Yeah, I could cruised around at 5 miles per hour. Got a top 20, it seemed like. Stay out of everybody's way.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on. I mean, listen, we won't go into the LCQ and what people were doing. Me and Mike kind of talked off camera what was going on, and it just wasn't. It was not good. But like I said up front, they were good. In the back, not so much. But it happens. It's Martinsville. But anyway, any final thoughts, Mike?
No. Hopefully this week I'll get to practice a little more. I'm making an effort to practice that a little more because I'll actually be home and be able to. But yeah, it's a road course, so if I'm in the feature, I think I got a good shot at that DoorDash prize of getting last place. But no, I've done the Pro 2 trucks before, twice before at Watkins Glen, I believe. And it is a lot of fun. My thing is I can do pretty well. I always have like one or two just dumb mistakes where it's like I just zone out driving the truck and then just miss a corner or something stupid.
I've
That's
had
what I
that.
do on road courses, but hopefully I can work
everything is
that
bigger
in.
in our $5.99
And I've got
Texas size meal.
commercial on
Grease
some
legs and
website that just started playing.
We'll see if that'll be edited out.
I don't get. We've been talking for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden a commercial starts playing. I don't understand it.
Oh man!
But,
All right, we'll wrap it up here.
That's a good way to
yes.
end it.
Stay tuned next week, everybody. Podium Esports, 8 o'clock Eastern on Monday, May 16th. Be sure to watch out for Mike in the 27 machine. He will be in the race. I don't think we're gonna have any heats or anything, so he'll be guaranteed to be in. Yeah, go ahead and tune in. It should be a good race, clean race. It's every Monday. If you don't know by now, it is every Monday. So stay tuned, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week.